Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here of the Couch Chat. So I want to talk about a couple things that have already been mentioned. So 2 weeks ago I mentioned we've got Alpha and we've got Becoming Catholic happening. So again, if you know somebody, you think of somebody, maybe you're watching this and you're like, you know what? I need to go back into the beginnings of my Christian faith, right? I want to go to Alpha. Bring a friend with you, right? You don't have to, but just bring more people. Just like you think Andrew brings St. Peter and says, we have found the Lord, and then he comes and brings him. And while you can, be an active member of the faith in the pews and come to Alpha, I forgot to mention that also you can do that for Becoming Catholic. We call it Catholic 101. So if you want a refresher in the faith, if you want to learn more about our Catholic faith, you can also come to the OCIA, the Becoming Catholic presentations. And so you can call ahead, just call Angie in the office, send her an email, or show up the first night, right? And that'll be in September. So we just want to open that to everybody because our education on our faith doesn't end with confirmation. It doesn't even end with our marriage. We need to keep learning in our faith, and there's a lot of great resources that you can do that at home these days. People listen to the Bible in a year podcasts, or there's so many other tools, books that you can read at home. But part of this is that we can always learn in our faith. The nice thing about Becoming Catholic or Catholic 101 is it gives this systematic overview of our faith, right? Going through the different aspects of the creed, going through the different sacraments, prayer life, morality, all of those different things in a systematic way. Instead of picking and choosing, well, I want to learn this, I want to learn that book, I'm going to watch this podcast or this video, it kind of gives a breadth of the entirety of our faith in a year. And I know, going week by week, it's a bit of a struggle. It can be a difficult thing. It's a demanding thing. But just want to invite you, if you want to learn more, right? If this is stirring in your heart, feel free to come for Becoming Catholic, or we call it for already Catholics, Catholic 101. Also, just pay attention to the bulletin. If you're like, I can't commit to every Thursday this next year, but maybe you can say, I want to pay attention for a couple these different sessions. So we'll publish those in the bulletin. We're thinking about maybe doing a month in advance. We thought about publishing the entirety of the calendar, but we ran into an issue with that last year of a snow day and needing to move things around. Somebody already had the schedule and they showed up to a session that they didn't realize they were showing up to, and it was not ideal. So probably month by month we'll publish the calendar. It could be just a week in advance, but pay attention. If there's something like, whenever the night on the Blessed Virgin Mary comes, I want to hit that night. Or whenever the night of anointing of the sick comes, I feel like I need a refresher in the anointing of the sick or the Old Testament, whatever it is. So you can come to just one night on those Thursdays. But like I said, if you want to learn more, feel free to come to Becoming Catholic. But even more importantly, to bring somebody else. Bring somebody else or invite them to be Catholic, invite them to come to Alpha. And the last invitation I just want to make is for something happening throughout the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. Maybe you've seen it in the Catholic Telegraph, maybe you've seen it just on social media, maybe it's been in our bulletin. It's the Archdiocesan synod. So a synod is when a bishop or archbishop in our case calls a gathering of those in the archdiocese. And so formally, the synod meeting will be in September of next year. That'll be when the delegates are gathered for the synod. And a synod is basically an opportunity to reflect on the life of a church. And in our archdiocese, we haven't had a synod since 1971. And ideally, dioceses would be doing this every 5 to 10 years. But once you haven't done it in a while, it is hard to get the ball rolling. So ultimately, the synod itself, the synod proper, will be September of 2027. But what happens in preparation for that is going to be a bunch of listening sessions, and not exactly sure what the topic is, which, that is what it is, I guess. But it's an opportunity to listen, how are things going in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati? Where are those opportunities of growth? Where is the Lord at work that we need to pour into even more? And maybe what are the issues in the life of the church that we need to address, that kind of are those glaring things that we need to get straightened out? And even what are the things, and maybe you don't know this as well as those that are kind of in the church, there are things that came out of the synod in 1971 that's like, that just needs updated real bad. There's a temporal affairs document of like, how do we care for money and property that was promulgated in 1971. Things have changed a little bit since 1971 in all of those areas. So that's what the synod is, right? And so I want to invite you to the listening session. I think they're calling it Conversations in the Spirit. They're hosting them throughout the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. They actually asked us to host one here for the northern area. So that's going to be September the 12th at St. Joseph in the morning. It's 10 a.m. to noon. You're more than welcome to come. There's also one later in November in Tip City. Those are going to be the closest ones. So maybe we can put a link in here to the registration for the synod and come. It's great to have. It's great to hear from great Catholics. Right? That's the important thing. Sometimes things like this, only people who are frustrated or people who are disappointed or whatever that shows up. But it's always great to hear from people who are happy. Right? People who are loving what's going on or seeing the opportunities for growth, right? And I know our people on like a town council or city council could say the same thing. Sometimes when you all invite people to a meeting, the only people that show up are those that are frustrated, and you don't get a whole sense of really how things are. So even if you're happy, even if you think things are going well, or maybe you just notice like, we got some issues here and here, come to the conversation in the Spirit. Again, we'll have a registration here on the link. So great opportunity to be Catholic right now, whether it's coming to Alpha, bringing somebody else to Alpha who could use a little faith, coming to becoming Catholic, or are just studying more in Catholicism 101, or if you want to be part of the Synod, there's that opportunity too. That's it for the Couch Chat. A lot going on as we're going from August into September, and we'll look forward to hearing from you next week or talking to you next week on the Couch Chat. Peace out.